has US President Donald Trump adopted such a tough stance against Venezuela and its President Nicolas Maduro? Let's break it down as we explain what's really happening. This is Ritu and you're watching Z News English Digital.
Trump has consistently held Maduro responsible for the sharp rise in Venezuelan migrants entering the United States, blaming the exodus on economic failure and political repression inside Venezuela. He has also alleged, without presenting evidence, that Maduro deliberately pushed criminals and prisoners out of the country, effectively forcing them to migrate to the US. The former president has further linked the migration issue to drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl and cocaine. Under Trump's leadership, Washington designated criminal groups such as Tren de Aragua and Cartel de los Soles as terrorist organizations, while also accusing Maduro himself of being complicit, claims the Venezuelan leaders strongly denies. Maduro, for his part, has accused the US of using the war on drugs as a justification to remove him from power and gain access to Venezuela's massive oil reserves.
And that raises an important question. How much truth is there in Maduro's claim? And how significant is Venezuela's oil in global terms?
Venezuela possesses the world's largest proven crude oil reserves, and oil revenues account for more than half of the government's income. However, years of sanctions, poor management, and lack of investment has severely weakened the sector. According to the US Energy Information Administration, Venezuela now contributes just 0.8% of global oil production. Despite the decline, the country still exports around 9 lakh barrels of oil per day, with China emerging as its largest buyer. Pressure on the Maduro government intensified further after Trump began his second term. The US doubled the reward for information leading to Maduro's capture, carried out dozens of strikes on vessels it claims were involved in drug trafficking, and imposed a broad naval blockade aimed at cutting off Venezuela oil exports. Trump also authorized the CIA to conduct covert operations inside Venezuela and threatened land-based strikes against what he described as narco-terrorists. While US officials argue these actions are lawful and necessary to curb drug flows, legal experts, including a former International Criminal Court prosecutor, have warned that the strikes would amount to unlawful attacks on civilians.
This again leads us to another critical question. Is Venezuela actually flooding the US with drugs?
Most experts say no. They argue Venezuela plays a relatively minor role in global drug trafficking, serving largely as a transit route rather than a major producer. The bulk of cocaine originates in Colombia and typically reaches the US via Pacific routes, not through Venezuela, according to a Drug Information Administration. Fentanyl, meanwhile, is primarily manufactured in Mexico and smuggled across the US southern border. Venezuela does not feature as a source country in the DEA's latest drug threat assessments.
As the tensions between Washington and Caracas continue to rise, analysts caution that beyond the sharp political rhetoric, the ground realities on drug, oil, and migration remain layered and deeply interconnected. This is Ritu and you're watching Z News English Digital.